Isang mapayapang hapon Pilipinas. Ito po ang inyong balerina ng bayan, si Lisa Macuja Elizalde, na bumabati sa lahat ng nakikinig sa DZRH Radio at sa mga nanonood sa DZRH TV, lalo na sa ating mga kasamahang alagad ng sining at kultura sa buong bansa. Noong nakaraang taon, isang kabataang manunulat ang nagbigay karangalan sa ating bansa nang maging isang international bestseller ang kanyang kauna-unahang nobela. Her breakout novel, The Hurricane Wars, captivated readers around the world with its creative storytelling and highlighted the need for diverse voices in literature. Ang kanyang tagumpay ay nagbigay inspirasyon din sa marami, lalo na sa mga manunulat na galing sa underrepresented backgrounds, dahil naipakita niya kung paano maaaring gamitin ang powerful storytelling para magbuklod ng mga mambabasa mula sa iba't ibang kultura. Kaya't huwag kayong aalis. Sa hapong ito, sabay-sabay nating kilalanin sa kalahating oras ng masayang kwentuhan ang international best-selling Filipino author na si Thea Guanzon.
Programang hatid ay sining at kulturang para sa lahat. Magbabalik ang Art to Art.
Contention number 12! Iloilo Tinagyang Festival presented by Tribo Mariano!
Tinesting, sinuri, siniyasan. Ang resulta? Super effective ang Shield sa pagpatay ng bakterya at virus. Shield Antibacterial Soap. Believe ang mga eksperto sa Philippine Nurses Association. At si Mami.
Tiwala ako sa Shield.
Shield Antibacterial Soap. Napatunayang mabisa. Ang mga nurse, tiwala.
Hello, Washi! Laundry day na naman!
Yay! Anong meron?
Mancha ng chocolate, putik, may libag pa!
Kaya natin yan! With Pride Washing Machine Detergent, may triple stain-away formula. Tanggal ang makapit, madikit, at malupit na dumit mancha. Kaya easy-easy ang labada.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon!
All you need is pride! All you need is pride! ACS!
Usapang sining at kultura para sa lahat. Art to Art.
Nandito pa rin tayo sa Art to Art at kasama natin sa hapong ito ang New York Times and USA Today best-selling author na si Thea Guanzon. Magandang hapon sa iyo, Thea.
Magandang hapon.
And welcome to Art to Art.
Thank you so much. Can I just say, this is such a surreal experience to be talking to you right now.
Oh, thank you. Batiin mo naman sa Bisaya ang mga Bisayan listeners natin.
Ay, hindi po ako Bisaya. I'm Ilonggo.
Ay, Ilonggo. Okay, so batiin mo sa Ilonggo ang ating mga Ilonggo listeners.
So, mayang adlaw sa tanan.
Yun, okay. So, of course, una sa lahat, congratulations, Thea. I mean, best-selling author, the huge success of your first novel. At balita namin, it's just the start of a trilogy.
Yes, The Hurricane Wars is the first book po sa in a trilogy. So, 3 books po siya.
Okay. Have you started the other 2?
Yes, nakasulat na ako. I've
As in, tapos na?
no, not.
Okay.
Right now, I'm working on book 3.
Oh, okay.
And I just submitted book 2 to my editor. So, book 2 will be published this December.
Wow. Are you excited?
I am, but I'm also at the point where I'm so busy with writing that I don't have time to process all those other emotions. So right now, like, nagfo-focus na lang talaga ako sa writing itself. And all of the feelings around it, like the happiness, the excitement, the nervousness, I'm just sort of compartmentalizing them.
Okay. So before we get into Hurricane Wars, can you take us back to the very beginning? Nung nag-umpisa kang magsulat, did you dream of becoming a novelist? Anything from your childhood that prepared you to become a novelist, for this career? And I do believe you started in fan fiction. Yes. Okay. So take us back to that.
So I've always loved to write. It was my favorite hobby growing up. But I never really let myself think of it as an actual career because, we live in the Philippines and it's not a very viable career in our environment to be in the arts. So my parents are doctors, my aunts and my uncles are either doctors or lawyers. So I just never really let myself think that I could be a writer. But it was what I did during my free time. I wrote stories, I wrote poetry, which was not good.
Okay. In your free time, how old were you?
I've been writing for as long as I can remember.
Okay.
I think I remember the first story I ever wrote. It was about a dugong, a girl who found a dugong on the beach. So she took it home and she kept it in her bathtub.
Okay.
I think I wrote that when I was in grade 1.
Wow. Okay.
So I just really wrote as a hobby, but it was my favorite hobby. And then when I was a little bit older, when I was in first year college, I discovered fan fiction. So yung fan fiction po, it's basically stories about an existing fandom, an existing franchise. So for example, there's Harry Potter. And then, if you are a fan of Harry Potter, magsusulat ka ng story about the characters of Harry Potter.
Okay.
About them doing something that they do not do in the books.
So yun yung fan fiction.
Yes, it's your own
Okay.
interpretation. It's your own version of an existing story. So yun.
Sorry talagang, that's news to me. Medyo hindi ako familiar sa fan fiction.
It's basically just playing in someone else's universe, playing in someone else's sandbox. So my friends and I, we started writing Harry Potter fan fiction. And then from there, I guess it just really stuck with me as a hobby na from writing my short stories, I graduated. I moved to writing fan fiction. So when I started with Harry Potter, and then I moved on to, I don't know if you're familiar with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I've watched sa Netflix. Yung merong sine ata, no? May
Yes.
sine na lumabas, tapos merong series sa Netflix
Yes,
din. Oo,
but it
okay.
started out as a cartoon on Nickelodeon.
I see. Okay. Yun hindi ko alam.
Yes.
Pero siguro alam ng mga anak ko.
Oo, so ganun siya. So, but like every show that caught my fancy, I wrote fan fiction for it. Like, this is what I think these characters are doing right now. Mga ganun. So, I guess like I had a little bit of a following online because because I posted my fanfics online. So, I had a bit of a following from that, especially in the Star Wars fandom. And then an editor reached out to me asking if I had ever thought about writing an original novel because she was also following my fanfics. So yun po, this happened during the lockdown. And there was nothing else to do because we couldn't go to the office. So I said, okay, let's give original novel writing a shot. So, and then I haven't looked back since.
So it was really just a matter of you deciding and committing to writing your first original novel?
Yes, I actually had to choose because during lockdown, I was applying to master's programs abroad, and because I graduated with an international studies degree. So I was thinking of going into the foreign service. And in order to take the foreign service exam, I felt like I needed to beef up my credentials. So I was planning on taking masters. Pero the email saying that I had gotten accepted into the second round of the interview portion for the master's program that I wanted. It arrived in my inbox the same time as the email from my agent saying that my trilogy was going to auction among 4 major U.S. publishers. So it was a fork in the road, and I had to choose. And finally, I decided to go with what my heart really wanted, and I have not regretted it yet.
Wow. So, well, in your personal opinion, gaano kalaki ang naitulong ng online platforms sa mga kabataang manunulat?
I think that online platforms are helpful, but not super necessary. Because I do think that talent speaks for itself. And if you have a good story to share, you shouldn't worry too much about getting it out there, making it go viral, because you will grow your fans organically. Pero it's definitely helpful because I do think that the Hurricane Wars got a lot of exposure from my existing followers. Pero yun lang, I would advise young authors to not get too caught up in that yet. Just concentrate on making your story as good as it can be, and the social media stuff will just follow later.
What are the disadvantages of publishing online?
Publishing online?
Yeah, are there any disadvantages?
The thing is, I just publish fan fiction online, so it's not really like publishing. Like I publish an original book online. Fanfic lang po siya. Like anyone can just comment on it. So I think that's the disadvantage. Like someone can just say, "Oh my God, ang pangit ng story," and then you have no control over that. But yeah, it's just I think that was what helped me grow a thick skin. And not everyone is going to like your story, so you just have to write what you want, and the people who like it will like it, and the people who don't like it won't like it. It's just life.
And don't read the comments na lang.
It's hard kasi it's easier for traditionally published authors to sort of insulate themselves from the reviews because hindi mo naman job to look at the reviews. That's the job of like your team, ganon. Pero if you just post your stories online, you will get like yung mga comment notifications na blah 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 commented on this na oh my God, you're terrible.
Pero meron ding mga very encouraging comments.
Yes, exactly. I do not think that I would have had the courage to take this next step if not for a lot of the encouraging comments that I got over the years.
Yeah, so, what was the transition like working on your first novel?
It was hard.
Well, nakakulong ka sa bahay. It was pandemic, right?
Yes, but first things first, like I had to create a world of my own from scratch kasi the Hurricane Wars is fantasy. It's set in a fantasy world, a completely different world from our real one. So I had to create it from scratch. So I think ang dami kong ni-research about like the flora, the fauna, the different technologies, the magic that could happen. And so that was a big stumbling block. I think na I wasn't just letting it flow freely. I wasn't just letting the words flow freely because I was always thinking like, is this accurate? Is this what is this what could happen? Yung mga ganun. But finally my agent was like, this is just the first draft. So the first draft will always be imperfect. And the point of the first draft is for it to exist, for it to be out there so that you have something to build upon and to work on. And so yun. Although it did take me 1 year.
And how many drafts?
Okay, the first book went through 6 drafts. It was 130,000 words, and it went through 6 drafts because because I was just a beginning writer. So I think I didn't really know how to hold tension, and I didn't really know what to focus on. So my editors had to be very firm with me. They had to send me a lot of notes, this scene is a scene that you need to expand, or this scene you need to delete it because it does nothing.
Okay.
And then this scene, it's better if you move it to this chapter to keep for a better flow. So so it did take a while, but I do think that I am improving because yung second book ko, it only took 3 drafts.
Oh, okay.
So we're
Cut
getting
in half.
we're getting there.
All right. And the third book will just...
Take
draft.
one na.
Take one. Okay, hold that thought. Take one. Marami pa po tayong pag-uusapan kasama ang best-selling Filipino author na si Thea Guanzon. Dito pa rin sa Art to Art. Magbabalik po kami pagkatapos na ilang paalala.
Programang hatid ay sining at kulturang para sa lahat. Magbabalik ang Art to Art. Schedule ng mga inaabangang konsyerto. Update sa mga magagandang panoorin sa mga tanghalan at teatro. Narito na ang Art to Art Calendar.
Narito ang ating arts calendar. Sa teatro, sa ika-19 na taon ng Virgin Love Fest na may temang pintog, tampok ang mga sumusunod na dula sa tanghalang Ignacio Jimenez CCP Complex mula June 12 hanggang 30. Vengeance of the Gods ni Hans Peter Araw, Ningas ni Lino Balmes, Love on the Brain ni Rick Patriarca, Centenario ni Herlin Alegre, The Divine Family ni Dip Mariposque, Identity ni Judiel Claire Sosa, Pagkapit sa Hangin ni Joshua Limso, Lipstick ni Ana Jenica Vinson, The Foxtrot ni Chessy Galvez Carino, Sa Babaeng Lahat ni Elise Santos, Ang Munting Liwanag sa Madilim na Sulok ng Isang Serbeseria sa Maynila ni Dustin Celestino at si Jesus na sa US ni Neil Azcuna. Para sa ticket at iba pang detalye, bumisita sa social media pages ng Cultural Center of the Philippines, Tanghalang Pilipino at The Writer's Block. Sa sining visual, dinihahandog ng Altromondo Creative Space ang one-man exhibition ni Salvador J. Ching na pinamagatang Time Crossing mula June 1 hanggang 29. Ang mga piyesang mixed media ay paglalakbay sa art history at pagbibigay-pugay sa mga kilalang obrang sining na gumagamit din ng isa sa paboritong tema ni Ching, ang mga kababaihan ng Malolos. Ang Altromondo Creative Space ay matatagpuan sa 1159 Chino Roses Avenue, San Antonio Village, Makati City. Sa sayaw, magbabalik ang tablado ang Carmina Burana, adaptation ni national artist for dance Alice Reyes ng kilalang kantata ni Carl Orff sa June 14 at 15 sa Samsung Performing Arts Theater, Makati City. Tampok ang Alice Reyes Dance Philippines kasama ang Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra, Philippine Madrigal Singers at soprano Lara Maike. Tampok din sa programa ang Dugso ni Reyes, isang collaboration kasama si national artist for music Ramon Santos, ang Summer's End ni Norman Walker at After Whom ni Augustus Bam Tamian.
Tinesting, sinuri, siniyasan. Ang resulta? Super effective ang Shield sa pagpatay ng bakterya at virus. Shield Antibacterial Soap. Believe ang mga eksperto sa Philippine Nurses Association. At si Mami.
Tiwala ako sa Shield.
Shield Antibacterial Soap. Napatunayang mabisa. Ang mga nurse, tiwala.
Hello, Washi! Laundry day na naman!
Yay! Anong meron?
Mancha ng chocolate, putik, may libag pa.
Kaya natin yan! With Pride Washing Machine Detergent, may triple stain-away formula. Tanggal ang makapit, madikit, at malupit na tumitmantsa. Kaya easy-easy ang labada.
Mula noon hanggang ngayon.
All you need is pride. All you need is pride. ACS.
Usapang sining at kultura para sa lahat. Art to Art.
Andito pa rin tayo sa Art to Art at kasama pa rin natin ang may akda ng best-selling novel na The Hurricane Wars na si Thea Guanzon. Okay, Thea, speaking of The Hurricane Wars, na matching sa aking outfit ngayon, if you can see it on DZRH TV, so in your website bio, you say the Hurricane Wars. I write speculative fiction with an emphasis on romance. So, what is speculative fiction?
So speculative fiction, it's a genre of fiction which presents something that is not grounded in reality. Parang ano po, like it presents an imagined realm. So yun, mga fantasy, science fiction, horror, they all fall under speculative fiction.
Okay.
So my preferred genre talaga is fantasy, especially romantic fantasy, because I like writing the love story as well as the magic, because for me love is its own kind of magic too.
Yes, of course. So, you wrote Hurricane Wars during the pandemic. What inspired you to write the story? And did you intend for it to be a trilogy from the very start?
So, The Hurricane Wars is basically a story about two enemies who are on opposite sides of a war. And then they are forced to work together in order to save their respective nations from a greater threat that's coming on the horizon. But in the process, they learn that perhaps they're not so different from each other, and they sort of like fall into this very reluctant kind of attraction, which will turn into love over the course of the series. So
Okay.
yung
Don't spoil. Don't give us too many spoilers.
yung
okay.
inspiration ko po is I just really like the concept of enemies to lovers. Because I just think it's such a fascinating dynamic to write about. And as for my inspiration for the world itself, the Hurricane Wars is actually set in a fantasy world that's based on Southeast Asian cultures and traditions, particularly the Philippines. So maraming Easter eggs there for Filipino readers, because I based a lot of the food, the plants, the architecture on things that you will find in the Philippines. And that was really fun to write. Tapos, it's called the Hurricane Wars because the main weapon of mass destruction in the series is it's basically a ship that harnesses the power of the storms. So I was inspired, of course, by the Filipino experience, because we get a lot of typhoons, and it's an ongoing nationwide conversation on how to mitigate their effects, on how to help others in the aftermath of all of these storms, which are just part and parcel of our daily lives. So I wanted to write a story about people working together in order to stop the hurricanes. Ganun.
Ang galing! So, anong reaction mo nung nalaman mo na naging bestseller ang The Hurricane Wars? How did you learn about it, and how did you and your family react to the news?
Okay, so my family actually lives in Bacolod. So I live here in Manila. So I learned about it alone. Actually, what happened was, so the lists, those best-selling lists, they go out like a week after your book has been published, because they come out weekly. And they take into account the sales of the previous week, and that's where they base their lists on. So I remember this vividly. At around 9 p.m., Philippine time. In-email ako ng editor ko. She said that, Thea, your book has sold enough copies to hit the threshold for the New York Times, but the New York Times also has its own algorithm, so we will never be sure if a book will be included until the list is actually out. So we will find out tomorrow. So in my mind, sana di mo na lang sinabi sa akin.
At 9 p.m.
I
Nakatulog ka ba?
I spent
Nakatulog
a
ka
very
that night? Hindi.
I spent a very sleepless night. So like, pinipilit ko talaga self ko matulog. But hindi talaga. Pero, they said that the list would come out at around 7. No. Dapat 5 p.m. New York time. So,
Which is
5
5
a.m.
a.m.
sa atin, 12 hours. So, at 5 a.m., gising na gising ako. Hindi dumating yung email.
Okay.
So, I was like, oh my God, I didn't make the list and I didn't want to tell nila. But apparently, it turns out that the New York Times list was very late in publishing that day. It was 2 hours late. So, sinabihan nga ako ng friend ko, my God, Thea, pati yung NYT, nag-Filipino time din siya. Dahil nandiyan. So, it was actually at around 9 a.m. 9 a.m. our time.
Yeah.
My agent messaged me saying, "Hi, Thea, are you free for a call?" So I was like, "Oh my God, baka ito na nga." But they were not able to break the news to me themselves because yung followers ko yung nagsabi sa akin on Twitter. Because I got a notification, I opened the notification, and someone was saying, "Oh my God, Thea is a New York Times bestseller." I was like, okay. And so my agent called me, and I said, "Hi, Thea." And I said, "Alam ko na. I know na. But yes, it was very surreal. I think in that same week, the hurricane wars also hit the USA Today list and the Sunday Times bestselling list in the UK as well, and also the indie bestselling list. So I was very happy, and that people are always asking me what I did to celebrate, but actually what I did was, because like my editor called me, I cried, she cried, and then my agent called me and I cried and she cried also. So it was a very emotional morning. But after that, I had already made an appointment. Hindi ko pa, naalala ko pala, nagpa-appointment pala ako sa mani-pedi.
Mani-pedi,
So
okay.
I had to go. Kasi sayang no. So afterwards, I had to act like a normal person. I had to act like my world hadn't completely changed. So I had to go to the spa and I had to get my mani-pedi.
Nothing like a mani-pedi.
I know.
Okay. So what's it been like promoting the Hurricane Wars?
Oh, it's been very stressful. It's also been very wild. I think this ties in to your previous question about how online platforms can help or hurt young authors. One thing that I've noticed, like, I do think that the publishing industry in general tends to lean on online platforms in order to get the books out there, to advertise. So as an author, you sometimes feel the pressure to keep on promoting your book. Like at the expense na minsan of your mental health, because every time you're holding your phone, you think that, oh, I have to say something about my book. And that's one thing that's one lesson that I learned, that it's you can just chill. You can just like, it will happen organically. And you don't have to keep on pushing your whatever you're selling at the expense of your peace of mind, your mental health,
your quality of sleep.
Yes, exactly. I have learned how to put my phone on do not disturb.
Very good.
But what I have enjoyed so far, all of this, like these interviews, it's been so nice to be able to talk to all sorts of people, professionals, and I have also enjoyed the traveling that comes with it, because in October last year, I had my book tour in the UK, and then I attended the book festival in Singapore, and then Just a couple of months ago, I was in New York for a book signing, and then last month I was in the UK to host the book launch of another friend of mine. So that has been like one of the major perks of being an author, the travel,
the traveling. Yeah. Okay. And of course, I'm pretty sure this, aside from the beautiful story, it's the packaging as well. The design, the material, the illustration, so on. In terms of aesthetics, what would book collectors expect from the Hurricane Wars trilogy? Aside from the fact that it matches my outfit today on Art to Art.
So I am very, very happy. So this is actually the UK cover. The US cover is different. It's darker. It's more stormy. Tapos this one is parang yung after the storm, the calmness after the storm.
Okay.
The light versus the darkness. So for both my US and my UK cover, the artist is Kelly Chong. She is Malaysian. She's amazing. I think that book collectors will be able to expect like a very stormy palette, a stormy color palette, with lots of metallic accents. I really like the foiling. And then the little ship that moves, the pages. I don't know if we can...
Oh, okay. Now I see it. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to make it move the correct way, pero it's supposed to move like to the other side. But that was a very nice touch that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
You can, pero the ship can only be found sa UK version. Yes.
I see. Okay. All right. And syempre, bago tayo magtapos, we always ask, again, don't give us any spoilers because especially since you're legally bound not to, right? Can you give us a peek into the second installment of the trilogy? It's scheduled na lalabas December, right?
Okay. So book 2 of the Hurricane Wars trilogy is called A Monsoon Rising, and it will be published in the US December 10th and in the UK December 5th. So, in A Monsoon Rising, our two enemies will continue to grow closer to each other very reluctantly amidst a whirlwind of new magic, old secrets, and a passion that can no longer be denied. So I just want to say that this is actually an adult trilogy. So medyo R18. I mean, it's classified as an adult romance. In the States. So bear that in mind.
Okay, at gustong makabili ng kanilang kopya ng The Hurricane Wars, saan ito? Is this book available locally?
It is. The Hurricane Wars is available at Fully Booked and National Bookstore. You can also order from the US or the UK. I'm not sure if the UK ships to the Philippines. I'm not sure if UK retailers ship to the Philippines, but depending on what cover you want, you can just order it online as well.
Okay. Can you download it as well? Not yet.
Yes, there is an ebook.
Yeah,
it's available in ebook and audiobook as well.
The audiobook din?
Yes, the audiobook narrator is very good. She is half Filipina as well. So I really like what she did with the story.
Okay. May dramatization.
Yes,
meron.
Although it was very funny because I had to, before they started working on the audiobook, I had to send them a pronunciation guide for a lot of the names and stuff. Tapos, dun ko na realize na it's very hard for Americans to pronounce a lot of the things, a lot of the syllables that we take for granted. Actually, people have a hard time with my last name. Yung Guanzon. Parang hindi nila
So it stops at Thea.
No, it's Thea.
Oh, Thea.
It's
okay.
Thea. Parang I've learned to stop minding it na lang. Yes, it's Thea. Yes, hi, I'm Thea. Pero Pero yung Guanzon talaga, like, there was this one interviewer sa States. She rehearsed it with me. She was very kind. She rehearsed saying Guanzon with me like mga 5 times before we went live. And then when we went live, nagkamali na naman siya. I think that's one thing that Filipino authors, local writers have to kind of watch out for and get used to. Now when they make it to the international publishing industry, just learn to take it with grace. Just be kind, because I don't know, like maybe they don't encounter those sounds in their own languages. So
Of course, advice to aspiring authors.
yes.
Yeah.
So I would advise aspiring Filipino authors, first of all, to just write what you want. Like, there will be people who will say that, oh, this kind of story is not marketable, this kind of story has already been done before, stuff like that. That is, I will say that, like, you should not let those, that kind of criticism stop you from writing what is in your heart. Because, for example, even though the basic concept has been done before, you are still putting your own personal spin on it, because you are framing it in your own voice, and that is what makes it unique. And for example, someone says it's not a marketable story. It's just a matter of finding your audience. And if you just write it sincerely and from your heart, that book will find its audience. So write what you want and don't give up.
Maraming salamat sa pagbisita mo dito sa amin sa hapong ito, Thea.
Salamat po.
And of course, aabagan natin ang second novel, A Monsoon Rising. And we wish you continued success.
Thank you so much. It
Yeah.
was an honor to be here.
Congratulations again. The Hurricane Wars. Get your copy now. Hanggang sa susunod na linggo, samahan ninyo kami ulit dito sa Art to Art, kung saan ang usapang sining at kultura ay para sa lahat. Ito po ang inyong balerina ng bayan, Lisa Macuja Elizalde, nagpupugay sa artistang Pilipino.